Welcome back, venturers. It's time for another discussion about VNture. I am MR, and together with Tauros, we continue to operate our shady business in Criminal Border. Yes, it's the third entry into the story of my little drug empire, Rave is Magic. Central heroine for this volume is Mareeck, and well, Tauros, tell me, have we grown or just changed?
Well, we kick things off here in Criminal Border, third offense, continuing our plight as Itsuki, the main character, is trying to grow his criminal drug empire against the Umonkai. We left things off on second offense of basically declaring war against them formally, although Goro and Shinanome's reactions are a little bit varying in how much they're taking us seriously. Regardless, it's now time for us to get closer to Meryl, as it turns out she's something of a wild card. She was hanging around and being the bodyguard of Kotoko, but it seems that she has more ties to the mysterious syndicate, a foreign mafia, instead of being tied with the Umonkai. And so, there's plenty to learn about Meryl as we get closer to her, as we go through the twists and turns of third offense. I know you asked me about what it's like with Itsuki and how much he's changing. I do think that is one highlight of the series so far, is that at the beginning, Itsuki was just a friendless dweeb of a loser who didn't really have any hobbies, didn't really have any life prospects or friends or any of that, and now look at him. He's got some stuff going for him, but in third offense, he definitely seems to get a little harassed, a little out of his element a few times. He's starting to feel the pressure, and as such, he's starting to get a little manic at times when he's getting too swept away in his emotions and all of the pressure and all of the thrills incoming. There's a few, especially a few times with Rin, where she seems to be getting a little worried at the kind of person she has unwittingly transformed Itsuki into. I think this has been a really cool layer to Criminal Border.
Exactly, and this specific phrase, have I grown or just changed, have been repeated throughout the volume 3 couple of times, and I'm gonna say that was the most interesting read of how now protagonist keeps noticing his changes, whereas in the previous volume it was more subtle and it was more external. Other characters were commenting on whether or not he had a nerdy look or maybe not enough conviction, etc. etc. And now, finally, he notices the changes in himself. Like, damn, that's actually pretty fucking deep.
Yeah, that's a good point. How in the past we've been seeing a lot of external changes to upgrade his style and the other characters commenting. But really the only other character who seems to be reflecting on how Itsuki used to be, personality-wise, is Rin, because, she's known him for many years. And to a certain degree, Hina probably noticed Itsuki from earlier ago, and several of the other characters, when they first met him, he was still a whimpering mess. But Rin definitely seems to have had the deepest connection to him earlier, and probably still has an image of him in her mind that he's just the poor little sad puppy that she kicks around all day. But now instead, Rin is also going through a lot of changes herself, huh?
Yes, and we'll probably get to what that means for the fourth entry at some point today. But another point I wanted to bring from the previous episodes, because you said it's such a great thing. Please, Tauros, I need to hear you defend the 8th scene trailer again. Go off, King. Please do.
You were the one who was complaining that, man, why does every entry start in the middle of an H scene?
Yeah, I did say so. And you said it's actually the best thing. So
I didn't say it was the best, but I said it's a good thing because you gotta start things off with a hook. Within the first 3 minutes of a prospective reader checking out your work, you need to hook them in. You need to convince them that this is something interesting enough for the reader to spend, I don't know, like 30 plus hours, or you know how typical visual novel lengths go.
Yeah.
You can't just take it for granted that a reader is going to pop open your VN and then stick with it for a huge chunk of their life. You gotta fight for it. You gotta convince them. And the most basic part of it is starting off your work with a hook right in the middle of the action, something gripping to take their attention. And it's a little bit of a cliche, but hey, you start the reader right in the middle of a dramatic scene or an intense scene or something. And in Criminal Border's case, boom, here you go, H scene. If anything, this one was a little underwhelming, because the first Criminal Border, that started you right away with Rin seeing the digital drug for the first time. And then in second Offence, it started with Kotoko. It was a very weird atmosphere, though. It's like, you're wondering, wait, what the heck is going on? How did things come to this? Whereas, with third Offence, I don't think there's anything really special. Like, I mean, Meryl, she's on the cover. We all know it's gonna be her.
Oh my god.
It's like, here's an H scene with Meryl. It's like, okay, wow, surprise, surprise. But
are you not going to comment on the character growth here? How she graduated from liking and licking sweet things into something more sour and salty?
Yeah, okay, buddy.
No.
Yeah. Either way, we once again started with the H scene, and that's one of the things I wish more visual novels would do. Maybe not necessarily the H scene stuff, but like, come on, start things off with something interesting instead of the classic, my name is Tanaka, I'm a high school boy, and
living having a high school normal life.
Yes, having wonderful memories with my friends. I'm living a truly blessed day every day. And it's like,
and okay. I hope it will stay like that forever.
Make things interesting. Come on.
But not the H scene trailers. That is so weird. I hate. No. I'm against it. But you've heard it here, folks. Tauros said he wants more H scenes.
Oh my god.
That's what he said.
Well, on that note, it's not necessarily that I want more H scenes, but with Criminal Border, they've actually been doing a great job with the H scenes, because it's not like we're just getting H scenes with single-minded purposes of just to be erotic. There are so many other visual novels where that's kind of my biggest gripe with them, where they're just one note. That's commonly my complaint. It's just that the script is so nondescript, how we get a ton of CGs, and yet the lines themselves are just a whole bunch of moaning and the same old clinical descriptions of what's going on. All characterization goes out the window. You know what I mean? It's to the point where you could honestly just copy-paste a whole lot of H-scene scripts and go at it with every H-scene, and it's not like you're even going to notice anything's wrong. But over here in Criminal Border, there's a whole lot more variety. Out of all the H scenes we've been seeing along the way up through third Offence, there's been a lot of weird ones. There's been a lot of romantic ones. There's been a lot of very intense and dangerous kinds of H scenes involved. And throughout all of those, the writing has been amazing at pointing out what kind of mood it's trying to convey. Sometimes there's been a few H scenes that have not been enjoyable for the reader to see at all. And that's a good thing, because it means that it's tying itself into the story. It means that there's some sort of purpose that the writer is trying to convey to the reader that's feeding the plot. And it's succeeding in its mission. Sometimes there's other VNs that will try to make some kind of serious or a different kind of H scene, and the writing just goes straight back to being titillating. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting mixed signals here. Is this supposed to be like, jerk-off material, or are we actually trying to be serious here? But in Criminal Border, it's very focused. It's serving a purpose. I very much enjoy that. I know that visual novels are intrinsically, hand in hand with a whole bunch of Arrow and Agent stuff. But the whole stuff that can be appreciated about it is how well it can serve the story instead of all sorts of different works that won't even touch the topic with a 10-foot pole. We actually get to see how much it ties into the story. And that's something that kind of gets talked about in theory with VNs far more than we actually see it. So Criminal Border is actually delivering that. It deserves a lot of praise for that. So I want to shout that out about this series.
Yeah, and I want to add on top of that, some of those scenes are scary in a very weird way in how whenever they have the H scene using Rave, it's so, how can I say it? It's so unpredictable and so animalistic in some aspects. Like, wow, that's very unsettling. It's not necessarily the levels of uncomfortability like other titles when depicting some sexual assault, but there is a weird did they pass the border or not? That is so uncomfortable with the Rave, especially how often in the titles they try to say, oh, Rave is legal, that's its greatest strength, which is this is quite my gripe with this title, how they keep on talking about Rave's legality. It's only legal because no one knows about it from regulatory bodies. The moment any kind of government body would hear about that kind of psychedelic, it would no longer be legal immediately.
There'd be a whole lot of research and testing on it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And control. It's like, yes, it's legal only because it's unknown. Let's be frank.
And to be honest, we do get a shift in that mindset here in Third Offence.
Yes.
In First and Second, it was kind of treated as more of this miracle product, and they were just thinking of how they could market it, how they could build off that. But here in Third Offence, there's a shift. Now they're discovering that this thing is likely addictive, as they're offering it through their clubs, as they're noticing a whole lot of heightened activity from their patrons. And now as such, they have a different mindset of wanting to spread it, weaponizing it as, a very typical drug of getting their population hooked, and then they could start putting the hooks in them. On the one hand...
Honestly?
Oh, yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, honestly, this volume had delivered one thing I've asked for before, probably in the most unexpected way, because I want to mention first, I really wanted to see more use of Rave and more experimentation. And two things happen. They developed Rave 2.0, right? And this is the one with addictive properties. So not necessarily they discovered that Rave 1 is addictive as much as they concocted another more addictive variant of it. At least that's the theory. We haven't confirmed whether or not the first one isn't addictive, but given the main cast have used Rave 1 a lot and didn't exhibit any symptoms the way customers exhibit symptoms from Rave 2.0, now you finally see the evolution of the digital drug. So, and another aspect of that experimentation is kind of continuing on the trend of those age scenes, like Meryl resisted Rave. That was big. Oh, that's the first time we saw someone shrug it off.
Yep, that this like, isn't the bulletproof, item that they have. It's like, this is a little scary now. There's some counterplay involved.
Exactly, and wow, this is exactly what I've been asking for in the previous volumes. Please focus on the digital drug. That's the hook. That's the product. That's the one thing that makes this series special. And in a weird way, they delivered.
Yeah, they kind of are. I've been hoping for more focus on the digital drug itself instead of the digital drug just being some, MacGuffin to propel the plot forward.
Yeah, fair.
To a certain degree, we get elements of it. There's the whole aspect of, since it's digital, that opens up a lot of avenues for how they can spread it. around more. It was instrumental in how, I believe Koji, that was his name, right? How he died.
Yes.
And that is an effective way of it being a sort, I guess you could say, a torture tool for them. But on the other hand, I kind of would like to see more uniqueness out of it, especially now that it's in third offense, it's now being treated as a drug, just exactly like any other product. There don't seem to be too many differences now, and that was kind of the greatest hook. And I don't know, I might be getting ahead of myself. I might not be appreciating how much it's done so far for the story. I still feel a little lacking out of it, like you mentioned. I guess we'll see if there's anything more that comes out of it in Life Sentence, but that's my word for it, just a little underwhelming.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't expect the entire story to shift only to Rave and only center that, although I wish it had that center stage for all the time with its experimentation. But right now, not only we have at least 3 versions confirmed, we have the version first, the very first Rave that has been kept in its original state, and what I understand is guarded closely. Then we have the Rave Alpha. It's the offensive variant that causes nausea, right, and pain. And then the Rave 2.0, which is the spreadable virus that they want to spread far and wide due to its addictive properties. And you know what? For me, that's enough. I don't need that. That's definitely improvement over the previous volumes. That's enough of experimentation. If they go forward with that and make something new out of that in the next volume, that's good. Okay, that's definitely more than they've been doing so far with it. Yeah, and the shift in the mentality that you mentioned that stem in this volume comes from both addictive properties that they discovered, as well as client tendencies of mixing Rave with the other drug called Gear from Omankai by client. That's like that's some dark stuff going on. Okay. So,
yeah, that can't be healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Holy crap. I like the direction. Personally, I'd like a bit more, especially in the next volume. I don't expect that they went super hard in this volume because it's episodic. So, okay, fine. But it has been definitely an improvement. The only concern of mine is we don't have much time left to come with more experimentations, right?
We're 75% of the way through. Yeah.
What's next? It's a virus that infects your computer to be addicted? I don't freaking know.
However, that was a good aspect of Third Offense, but the real highlight of Third Offense was that one hell of a plot twist that came near the end, where it turns out Shinonome got Hina killed off. Goodness gracious. It's one thing to introduce, a sudden death along the way, but it's another thing entirely to kill off one of the heroines. Not only that, Hina, who was arguably the main girl of the series, more so than Rin in some ways.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere for her to die. Especially because at first the story was building up that Tatsuya was going to die. And I thought, okay, that was the obvious plan to go because, him who just got his debt paid off, who was best friends with Itsuki, who was the one of the few guys around in Eroge, let's be honest. So I thought he was clearly marked for death there, but oh my gosh, to swerve it into Hina. Wow.
Listen, when the sequence of events started playing, like Tatsuya doesn't respond, he doesn't read his messages, I'm like, way too obvious. There's so much misdirection in VNs happening, trying to shift the focus. But not to say that they won't go for the obvious. Sure. So I'm like, back in my head, it cannot be Tatsuya. It cannot be Tatsuya. Are they trying to create a tense moment just to do nothing? But they actually did it. But flip on its head, it's Hina. I was surprised. They got me that. Like, I was not expecting Tatsui, but I did not expect Hina as well. Oh, you know what? Damn.
Especially when they revealed it, when Shinonome is at that diner with Itsuki, and oh my gosh, the writing and how they paced it out, of drip feeding it to you, the reader, to Itsuki just losing his mind over it all. And even to the follow-up when he's running out and him and his friends are trying desperately to see if it's true or not, and if they can get a hold of Hina and everyone. Oh my gosh, that whole sequence was definitely just the high point of Criminal Border so far.
Yes. I'll give you a slight glimpse into how maybe I read VNs. I have my VN, I try to focus on it, but someone calls me, messages me on Discord. If it's not something gripping, I'll respond immediately, whatever. But the moment that segment started, it's like, no communication. I'm unavailable. Go away. I was so absorbed. That one was crazy well paced. Oh my god. I was thinking, holy shit, did they finally understand pacing? Did they finally have tension? Surely, if they introduce an antagonist, they won't resolve it immediately. Surely.
Oh god.
So you see the foreshadowing here. So I was completely hooked that moment. And no one could reach me.
And to be honest, this story really needed it because despite the Umonkai being set up as the overarching villains across this entire series, they haven't really done anything villainous to warrant this war from Itsuki to take them down. Sure, I mean, they've been peddling drugs around, so now Kotoko is against them. But as far as what they've done to Itsuki, like, they put a 20 million yen fine on him out of convenience, not anything personal. And when Itsuki went to confront Goro twice over, he kind of just treated him with kid gloves and bent like, aha, oh man, you've sure got a lot of spirit now, don't you, kiddo? It's like, this is really who your hated villains are supposed to be across the whole way?
Think about the previous main antagonist, Koji. Every single alteration you had with him was personal. It was not necessarily Umonkai. Yes, they were in the background, they were orbiting around him, sure. But it was still personal to Koji, between Koji and Itsuki. Nothing except for that huge 20 million yen debt. Nothing was tying necessarily Itsuki against Umonkai. So I agree with you. They really needed to portray them more evil. Antagonistic.
So then we come into what might be the biggest disappointment of Criminal Border across its entire series so far, in that Itsuki and friends, within 5 minutes, get their revenge on Shinonome and everyone involved. They kill him off.
What the hell happened?
Could not believe... I couldn't believe it when he revealed that Hina was now dead and all of the anguish Shinonome just put them through. And then I couldn't believe it when Itsuki and friends got their revenge.
Immediately. So easy.
Yep.
So, what?
Shinonome was now the most hated villain.
Exactly.
In the entire series, easily, and even in contention for several other VNs at that point, for just being so heinous and being so just pure evil, and now he smugly rubbed it in his face. This is a villain you could have had for the entire rest of the series. To be honest, part of me kind of wishes it happened earlier, so we could savor this journey even more. Yeah. And we killed him off. He's gone. It's all done.
How can you make a character now Shinji coded and then immediately kill him off? Like what? No.
Exactly. And what really kills me is that Criminal Border is an episodic series. More so than a regular VN, you have to be gripping the reader's attention the whole way through. Because you can't just count on readers buying every single part of your title to see the story through the whole way through. You have to keep encouraging them, tune in next time to see what happens. And the easiest way to do that is to have some awful villain who is constantly getting one up on our protagonist, and you're teasing the reader, hey, maybe next time he's gonna get his revenge. Especially now that this is third offense out of 4, it's the finale, any reader would know that Itsuki is definitely finally gonna get his hands on this guy. That's the chase you give the reader, that's the enticement, the carrot you're dangling at the edge of a stick to get their reader to keep giving money to see how this story ends. I just don't understand why they would immediately get their revenge and stab this guy to death.
Yeah, I cannot express in words. Words fail me to describe how gripped I was through that entire segment up until they flipped the script and now they're preparing to kill him. I was still engaged, don't get me wrong. But then it immediately happens, they'll kill him off, and I'm like, I feel no satisfaction. Like, what the fuck? That was so easy. Like, if that was... I know that after that event, it's explained that yes, because of Hina's fate, they had a deal with the main boss. I get that, and that allowed them to do it so easy. I understand. It was so bullshit. What the fuck?
Yep, that's been Criminal Border's recurring issue, is that a lot of what's going on with Itsuki feels so easy. You compare Koji and the brutal time he's been having as he's been having run-ins with the Umonkai, and then you look at Itsuki, who's had a lot of friends and an incredible superpowered drug and smooth sailing the whole way through, and it's like, okay, I mean, it doesn't feel as earned as it should.
Why does it feel that every single obstacle in every single volume has been resolved immediately after it appears? Pretty much the next day. Like...
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't check the dates when you made a point that this title keeps track of dates in the VN, but it was literally next scene that starts the whole revenge story.
I can't believe we time skipped the preparations. Yeah.
Exactly. I just, yeah, probably. It's like, what the hell? It was literally next step. Couldn't you leave at the very least at the beginning on the next volume and make the preparation the point to end this one on? I don't know. It was just so weird. Don't get me started even after that justice is delivered, the biggest twist of them all. It was the Umonkai boss all along. I'm like, huh? Like the guy who we declared war on in the first volume in the mind of protagonist and the second volume to his face. Now the twist is he's the bad guy. Like, no shit. Like, no way, no way, no, really? No way. Yeah. Wasn't that the plan all along?
Mm-hmm. Not only that, the way that Goro gets set up as the big villain for, life sentence is that Kotoko info dumps this at the end.
That's true.
And she's not even sure. She's like 70% sure, so there's still some healthy doubt.
Okay.
And I don't know why that is somehow seen to be a more enticing villain for the grand finale of this series, instead of the guy who just killed your friend, your love interest, the shining light for a better future, and then laughed in your face about how he played you for a fool. I don't know, man. Which of them is the more enticing villain to chase for the finale? You tell me.
Yeah, man. Why did they have to drop the ball so hard? I had such an amazing segment.
Now, another part of the finale is that Luca shows her face. That, as a ranking member of the syndicate, and they're a threat of their own. And so the idea is, there's now a new player on the scenes. How will this shake things up? What are her goals? What's her involvement? She's a powerful ally for the Umonkai. But the thing is, that's kind of how we ended every other Criminal Border episode. It's just we get a teaser. Yeah, we get a teaser of the bad guys, staring at the camera as they're surely up to no good. And each time, as we read the next criminal border that follows, it's been a little underwhelming. I mean, again, they do vague bad guy things in the background that don't really interact with us much. So it's hard to feel any sort of personal vendetta against these people that we're supposed to be struggling to take down for this story. It doesn't hit as hard,
Yeah, and honestly, I really, really want to like Volume 3 more. This confrontation with Shinonome just disappointed me severally, but how can I put it, okay? One of the most interesting read here in the Volume 3 from the standpoint of Mareeck character, because we kind of skipped Mareeck and we went for the story itself, fine. But every single volume is focused on a heroine and that character development, growth, etc. And in my opinion, an interesting read from the standpoint of language barrier. Over the course of Volume 3, there was a plethora of examples as Mareeck and Itsuki are speaking but not communicating. And yes, some of those are played for laughs. Haha, Japanese person speaks, understand Japanese as a gaijin versus the gaijin. But others were more, and this is the better part, deep, such like the loosening of the collar, vague concepts of freedom, those differences in thinking in particularly were probably the most gripping dialogue exchanges between those two, leaving the reader with just a glimpse, but never the full picture immediately. Did they mean the same thing? Is there a fundamental difference of their thinking? What does it mean for Mareeck to call Itsuki crazy? Heck, there is a moment near the end of the game that the scene when Mareeck is killing Ida, okay? It is written in such a way that is very unnerving, but I feel like it's very true what she said. Her killing Ida is the most normal thing she did. Because that's a very emotional way to her killing, whereas in the past she was very unnerved and she was more doing orders and disassociated with just the idea of killing. Now she did it because she wants to, and she's guided by her emotion that makes her, in a certain twisted way, more normal. Like, those are fucking amazing moments for character growth. Holy shit. Yes, obviously what she did isn't moral necessarily. It's not good that she is doing killing spurred by emotion, but it's way more normal, her approach up until this point. Like, what the fuck? That was amazing.
Yeah, I thought Mareeck was a great heroine for Third Offense. Even though we still had a lot of her characterization was involved with the Syndicate and getting to know them and making some progress on their own war against the Umankai and stuff, Mareeck still got plenty of focus herself. There were a lot of sweet scenes involving her and what she wants and how she's basically owned by the Syndicate and the various forces pulling at her. We get to find out more about what she wants herself. And I thought that was a very sweet topic to explore throughout Third Offense, like you mentioned.
And obviously I need to address the allegations, Taros, you made in Volume 1. And no, Taros, that's cheap. You cannot do that to me. As a kudere connoisseur, you cannot just turn 180 degree and the first scene she is with her sweet cuddly voice says, "Senpai!" That's not how kuderes work. No, you cannot do that to me. That's cheap. You have to work for that smile.
She immediately tells you she's just putting on an act. She's trying to blend in as a student.
Give me more excuses.
It doesn't count. You know she's still a kudere.
Oh my god. That was funny.
So all in all, Criminal Border, it's still doing some good stuff. I like how we get the character focus. I like how Itsuki is really transforming across this series, and I like how Rin has been set up the whole time as she's having her own character growth. By the end of third offense, she's stepping into the spotlight. She's taking over the club because she wouldn't want to abandon Hina's project and run away.
That was a great moment.
Yeah, aw. So we get the flashes, we get the underlying stuff that's good, but there's still so much that tends to disappoint with this series.
Yeah. And for example, another great point was the formation of Nest, their new group of 4 people who swore loyalty to each other. Like, fuck, that's an amazing moment as well. And then at the very last scene, Rin steps from the shadows into their group and joins the Nest. Like, fuck, that's a great thing. Why did you have to drop the ball with Shinonome? Why did you do that to me? That could have been the best volume ever. Probably still is, although the bar isn't set that high.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. Third offense had some of the best moments, although, like I said, it's still not too high of a bar to clear for being better than first and second.
Okay, Tauros, you need to hit me with that question, your favorite one. Come on.
Yep.
Just let it out.
Let's go ahead. Tell the world, Omar, who's best girl?
It's Meryl, okay.
You're darn right it is. I will hold Hina's words in my heart. I still think Hina is best girl. Oh.
Hina had a lot of good things, but...
Pain.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be continuing our journey with the final entry, Life Sentence, so look forward to that next week.
Yeah, thanks to all our listeners for listening in, and please tell us with the comments what was your experience with Criminal Border, and with that, venture out.
Venture out.